You want to go college? You want to, sorry, can't afford it, right? And I went to Australia to study and kind of like restarted, self-funding myself and with not a lot of friends. I can see the future in front of me, right? I could continue to be a model, then eventually have lesser and lesser jobs. You know, why we started Mboss Academy is to give women that third option to have their own purposeful career, kind of like the business on their own, and still be a present mom. What you work on needs to be different from when you're an employee, when you're doing all the things. You were this blogger and stay-at-home mom, and now you're talking about business. I like that. Can you teach me? That's what gives you that, there's a demand right here. We teach women from having no idea to launching the business in 90 days. To date, we have about 500 to 600 students who have been through the program. You've got more, you've got like 12,000, right? Well, anyway, we're not comparing. I'm really proud of that community. Wow. If I were to die tomorrow, am I happy just living? Yeah, I'm pretty proud of how I lived my life so far.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi Christina.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi Christina.
Thank you for coming all the way from Malaysia.
That's all right. I'm like, it's been a while since we last caught up. So yeah, I'd love to see you again. And in the short, 3 years since we last met, you've done really well and have impacted the life of so many children and their family.
Oh, thank you. So have you. Maybe you can introduce yourself first.
Okay. Hi, my name is Michelle Hon. I am the founder of Mboss Academy, where we help women entrepreneurs expand their reach, become an expert in their industry, or be seen as a go-to expert in their industry, and also grow the business with automations.
Automations. Tell me a bit more about that.
Yeah, so typically I find that a lot of, why we started Mboss Academy is to kind of give women that third option to be, to have their own purposeful career, kind of like the business on their own, and still be a present mom, right? So they don't have to choose between their career or the family. But a lot of women entrepreneurs who ended up going down this path is that they are still working long hours, right? And still like, how do I do all of that? And it's because they are still working like they are an employee, right? Because when you're a business owner, your mindset needs to shift. Yeah. What you work on needs to be different from when you're an employee, when you're doing all the things. I understand when you're first starting out your business, you need to do kind of everything, but the priority needs to be placed on building online assets and using AI these days to continuously get that leads and sales for you.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I feel like sometimes a lot of entrepreneurs, when they go into start a business, they quit their 9 to 5 to work 24/7.
Exactly.
And that is just not compatible as a mom.
Yep.
I know you're a mom, you're an entrepreneur, and you mentioned about automations. So it seems like you handle a lot of things. You have your own business, you teach, you have your own course, and you still have 3 kids. Not just 1, but 3 children to handle. So can you tell me about how you divide your time during the day?
So I'll wake up around 7 o'clock, wake my kids up for school. And then I'll prepare the breakfast, prepare the lunchbox. We walk the kids to school together with my husband. It's a short 10 minutes walk. And then, once we get back home after we walk them to school, get ready for the day. And I'll typically start working at around 9. And now I have my home office, so we don't need to travel anywhere. My husband works from home as well, so he has the sort of like the basement, his man cave. So anyway, so we meet for lunch. For a bit, and then we respectively just go back to our own area, work some more until around 2 or 3 o'clock. That's when the kids finish school. Then we'll go pick them up. Practically the late afternoon is for the kids once they're home, and I'll start cooking dinner at 5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I cook every night. I actually enjoy cooking. Yes.
Oh,
yes,
wow.
most nights. Yeah, sometimes of course we go out, but I'll try to cook at home as well. And then we'll have our dinner around 6, and then spend a bit more time together with the kids, or they're doing their homework. And typically they go to bed at 8:30, and then that's when I have a bit of time with my husband, and also a bit of time for myself.
So it sounds like you work about 3 to 4 hours a day and spend 5 to 6 hours with your kids, and spend quite a bit, like a quality 2-3 hours with your husband too.
Yeah, Yeah, I do.
That's a really, really good balance.
Oh, thank you.
That's kind of like a dream, like, I think it's a dream for especially many moms because they want to have the flexibility. They want to be able to send their kids to school and be able to really have some.
Well, I guess I built my business.
balance in life.
Yeah, I guess that's what I had envisioned for myself maybe 12 years ago when I started the business from home. I really just wanted to have that flexibility of time, or at least have the illusion of flexibility. We think we have flexibility of time, but really it's just determined by, your kids' schedule, right, really? But at least I can say, my kids, like tomorrow, there is, I am actually the school parent volunteer for the sports days. So there's like a parent briefing in the morning and I can actually make it, right? And then I can just maybe overcompensate on work, maybe a bit later during the day. So at least I get to say, instead of having to apply for like leave from a company if I'm working for someone.
I honestly think flexibility is so important and people don't realize how important it is. I think especially after being a mom, where you cannot no longer predict your timetable. That's what I find the hardest about being a mom.
Yeah, I'm sure you experienced that, right? Having been a mom just 8 months ago, congratulations. That life is totally different. Like we used to just live for ourselves, right? Live or die ourselves. But now that you have a child, personally, I find that it gives my life a lot more meaning, that I'm no longer just living for myself, that there's someone who is looking up to me and I'm leaving a legacy for every single thing that I do. So it makes me think like twice, right? About every decision that I'm going to make, what I'm going to teach them, the values that I'm going to instill in them. So yeah.
I completely agree with you. Like after having a daughter, like I become a lot more mindful. Actually, I become a lot braver. She gave me a lot of courage. Because I'm with this interview with you, like I wouldn't have set it up until she came along, and I wouldn't want to be a role model to someone that I one day want her to become, or at least someone who could be inspiration for her.
Yeah.
And I think you're definitely an inspiration of me as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So you're inspiring other mom, and I think that's very, very meaningful.
I try.
Well, the first question I want to ask you is, what are the 3 proudest things you have done in your life?
All right, the number one thing is the fact that I managed to become a mom, because that's something that I've always wanted since I was a kid. The second thing is that I am still here today despite all the hardship, challenges that I've overcome. And lastly, I'm really proud of the community of mothers that I've helped. The mothers who've been through Mboss Academy, the ones that come to me and say, I felt like I don't know myself anymore. I feel like I should be doing something. I don't know what. And I could really see the transformation, the confidence that they've built now that they realize that, hey, I built this, right? And that I've only not just changed sort of their lives and their confidence, it rubs off their children as well, because mothers are children's first role model.
Yes, I completely agree with you on that. That is really meaningful. Maybe you could tell us a little bit more about Mboss Academy?
All right, so Mboss Academy really started, the first gig I sort of like took on as a mom was start a blog from home, because I didn't know what else I can do to monetize. So I started a blog, and then, long story short, the blog turned into a maternity concierge business. And so my readers were like, hey, Michelle, I sort of read and follow you since you were this blogger and stay-at-home mom, and now you're talking about business. I like that. Can you teach me? So then I started sort of like just, okay, if that's what you want to learn, right? And then there's not just one person, there's a lot of people asking, and that's what gives you that, there's a demand right here, right? But yet I still like, I know how to do this, sort of. I'm still kind of early in my journey. I'm not sure if I can teach though, but I thought, okay, I can start maybe just help one-on-one, just meet up, see what they need, and then just kind of just pre-launch that, just kind of like announce it on Instagram and say, hey, I would like to teach some of you who has been asking me about this. Would you like to get on a one-on-one sort of like coaching relationship with me? And yeah, so we had quite a number of them who took up on that. And this was still pre-COVID. I still needed to hire a physical office to do that consultation, right, to look professional. And then kind of like a year and a half into that, I realized that, oh my God, this is again taking up too much of my time away from my family, It's outside of the home. And then, what can I do? So then that's when I had the idea of turning it into an online course. And as I was working on the online course, COVID happened. And turned out to be like the best time for us as well, right? People are like stuck. Then I launched the online course. And so with that one online course where it is still called Mboss Go, where we teach women from having no idea to launching the business in 90 days. And to date, we have 12 intakes already. And so from one program, we launched into our second program. So today we have 3 signature programs. Then we have like smaller workshops here and there. And we also have a membership for moms who just want to sort of like drop in and have a bit of questions. They don't want to go through the program, and also create a community for them to support each other. So I'm really proud of that community.
Oh, that sounds so meaningful.
So it's just like one thing that leads to another. Yeah, like I said like earlier, I'm not much of a planner. I'm not like, this is my vision, I'm just going to do that. It's sort of like just, one step at a time and see what is needed, and you start building. So people look at me today and think that, oh my God, she got this. Like, how did she do it, right? I didn't start out this way. It was one thing after another that led me to here. And I guess, of course, there were lots of mistakes, expensive mistakes that, heartbreak type of mistake that I made. But that's why I guess like, just don't stop, just keep going. You never know where you end up.
Actually, you mentioned something that I thought was like super valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Like one thing I noticed in entrepreneurs is that a lot of them are not actually planners. They're like doers. Like I find that, for example, me, I'm really terrible in planning. But then when I think of something, I really want to do it, then I just go ahead and do it. And there will be mistakes along the way. But I also feel like because of that lack of fear, I also go a lot further than other people. And I'm doing a lot of things that we love.
Yeah.
Actually, that's one of the things that I'm trying to teach like our students at Mboss Academy as well. Like, just get rid of the fear. When the fear is out, then there is unlimited opportunity in this world.
Absolutely, yeah. I think fear is, what did it say? I can't remember. Something that you made up. That's like a, if you expand it, it's just something that you made up.
Yeah.
Right? It's not real. So yeah, I think like definitely not just kids, the moms as well that I train. There's a lot of fear that's holding them back. I love to do this, but but there's always a but somewhere. And I guess like if you are always this, I want to do this, but I'm this, your children are watching you.
Yes, I completely agree. Actually, when for Mboss Academy, we started coaching parents for it. And coaching parents is actually even more effective than coaching the kids.
Yeah.
I'll give an example. We have a student, parent called Hazel. She actually did an interview with us before. Her kids was able to jump from having no A, not even B's, like he did not imagine himself
average CD type of kid,
to getting straight A's.
Wow. And that's from the parent starting to believe in them first, right?
Yes. So I thought, well, I mean, obviously we also teach them study skills and study techniques. But the biggest changes I see was in the mom. When the mom was like actively learning about this and teaching the kids, and then the kids like improvement become like unlimited. And like before, he would never dream of even getting an A because he thinks he's not that kind of person. Now he does not expect himself to not get an A.
Right. It's an identity first, right? Once you believe you can, it's like, it's a no-brainer, right? Why are we getting lesser than that?
Maybe we should kind of work together with our moms.
We should. I think same thing with entrepreneurship as well. Like a lot of them think that, $10,000, that's a lot, right? But once you hit that, it's like, that's just the baseline, right? And then you just keep going up. So same thing, I think. Like you gotta start with that self-belief and that identity that I could do this.
I completely agree. Like back then when I first started tutoring, I was just like, I have 20 students. I mean, I was just like, gosh, I have more students than I could ask for. I'm doing so well. Now we have 12,000.
Amazing.
So like the magnitude is incredible. And a lot of it, I agree with what you said, is automation as well. Like you cannot think of a one-man team. Because back in the days, I always thought, I got to do it because I could do it better than everyone else. But then I realized if I take a step back, we also have an online course to allow like not 100% perfection, then actually we get to impact even more people in their life. And to me, that's something super important.
Absolutely.
And actually, Michelle, I feel like you're doing something super, super meaningful, because I feel like by impacting the mom, you're not just changing the woman's life, you're changing the whole family and changing the next generation.
Oh, thank you.
So,
Thank you.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that. And one more sip of this yummy business.
Yes, this is actually bird nest. And why is it a purple color? Because I mix it with some dragon fruits. Because the bird nest itself has no sugar at all. You know, sugar ages your skins. But then I also really like.
Now we're going into skincare, are we? Skincare cost anyone?
Maybe. We do both have pretty good
I mean,
skin.
yeah, she does have pretty good skin.
So, cheers.
Cheers.
So that actually ties very well into my next question. Now, I think you're super successful. Do you consider yourself as successful?
Wow. Do I consider myself a success or successful? I think I am. You know why? I think not because of what I've achieved. I think to me, success is sort of like, if I were to die tomorrow, I know it's a bit morbid, am I happy just living? And I think, yeah, I'm pretty proud of how I lived my life so far. And what I've done so far, I think I've done everything to my best ability. And so because of that, my life to this point is a success.
Wow, I love that. So not we move it, but you know, if let's say the world is ending tomorrow.
Yeah, I think I just okay. I'm okay with it because I think I've done everything that I wanted to do. Of course, there's still goals that I wanted to reach, but then I think I've lived to my truest self. Yes. I've done my best so far, and I think that's it.
Wow, that's amazing. I really love that definition. Are you imparting that wisdom to your children as well?
They've never asked me that question, so I've never imparted that. But I think that's what I want for them, right? It's not how high you climb, how much money you could earn. If you can just live to your most congruent, truest self and whatever that makes you happy in whatever shape or form, then if you consider that as a success, then you're successful, right? It's not what other people want. Or I told them, like, you just do you. Sometimes mommy could be wrong. I may give you advice. I may kind of steer you. I may think that it's better for you to take this path. But if you think that I'm wrong, that you feel strongly about something, then go for it. Mommy and daddy could be wrong sometimes.
Wow, I love that. My parents also taught me that way, and that's really. I really hope I could still do that when my kids grow up.
I know, but sometimes, of course, like I was raised by a tiger mom, right? Like, I mean, until she passed away really young as well. But like, you know, must do very well academically, you must study, and like, you know, show your cousin that, you know, you're better than them and all of that, right? So I still feel like sometimes that tiger momness in me still come out somehow, but then I try to, like, you know, tame her. It's fine. It's no longer like that. Because sometimes, you know, we act differently, right? Like our subconscious mind take over and triggers and all of that. So yeah, I think we're still learning.
Actually, I recently read a book called The Book I Wish My Parents Have Read, and you would be glad that they did or something. That's the whole title of the book.
Okay.
And one of the things that I learned is that you subconsciously model after your parents' parenting style at that different age. So let's say when you're 2 years old, that's how your parents treat you. When your kids is 2 years old, that 2 years old you come up.
Right. Okay.
And I was just like, well, that's very interesting. Like, never thought of that.
Yeah.
And actually, I think being a tiger mom is not a bad thing. About how you become it.
Yeah, I think, like, as long as it's not affecting the kids too much, right? I think it's fine. Sometimes we do need to be strict with them, right? A lot of people think, like, you know, my handle on Instagram is the chill mom. So a lot of people think, oh, are you really chill? Like, to me, it's not like I'm just taking a step back and let my kids do whatever chill. I'm chill because I have very clear boundary of what they can do and not do. So once that's laid down and they are clear about that, then everything else I'm chill about. I don't need to constantly be nagging them, helicopter parent or whatever. So yeah, that's my definition of chill tiger mom. Chill tiger mom.
She started Chill Tiger Mom Club. I think that's really good because actually one thing that we know in education is that once you have clear boundary, it actually is one of the most important things that give children confidence. They feel safe within boundaries.
Yeah.
If I just imagine you're like in a place you don't know what you can do and what you can't do. That's actually quite scary. But whereas when you have set boundaries, what you can do and what you can't do, and there are more can do's than can't do.
Yeah.
Kids actually feel really safe.
Yeah.
They feel the security when they have an area that they could explore.
Yep.
It's actually much better for kids.
Good to hear that. Yeah, but I also have a child, my youngest one. He likes to test boundary, but which is fine. I think that's just him. He's very much like me when I was young. I can see that he dislikes authority, that he just doesn't like being told what to do, but he will do it on his own. Yeah, and yeah, so I'm actually quite proud, of who he is and how he is.
Yeah.
That he's not just like a yes boy who just say no and state his mind at 7 years old.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of that.
That's a great feature. Honestly, that's a sign that he'll become really successful in the future.
Oh, I hope so. Thank you.
I actually think that's one of the most important signs. At our Tennis Study Academy, what we try to teach students is to challenge.
Yes.
So I find that students who are like that, who like to question everything, they actually are the best at following rules when they understand the why behind it. Because they never do it out of like blindly following someone. They do it because they believe in it.
Yep.
And that's actually a much better force to keep someone on track to doing something.
Yep.
And that's a much better moral compass than be like, oh, I was told that was good.
Yep.
Whereas they under the reason and they understand the reason so that they would not be challenged whatever coming to life with them. Like whatever difficulties, they'll be like, okay, I know why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yep.
So I think that's a really great sign.
Oh, thank you.
And unfortunately, I see that more in boys than girls. We actually need to teach girls how to think, how to challenge.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and as you said, you have that mindset and you become a very successful person.
Not immediately. I was pretty naughty in school, right? Because I just, you don't tell me why I got to do that, right? If you explain to me properly, like you said, right? If I know why, then I might, stay within my lane. But because I didn't know why, so I did, did a lot of naughty stuff. But okay, so far so good. Not quite that. But I guess growing up we were really poor. So like since young I knew that it's just that there were days when I was 6 years old knowing that, oh my God, the grocery money that daddy brought home is not going to last us until Friday. And that's a concern at 6 years old, that we're going to run out of money and that we have like 5 ringgit. I'm from Malaysia, right? Like 5 ringgit, and this is back in the 80s. Do we buy a whole chicken or do we get 2 packets of chicken rice? Like, how are we going to do that? So that's tough for a kid to bear, I think, right? And so it took a bit of learning and unlearning a lot of those past things that I've been through, that lack mindset, right? And so I guess mom passed away when I was 13. She was 35, so didn't really have a role model after that to sort of steer me in the right what I should do, and hang around, who to hang around with, what type of friends, and things like that. So
tell me about your early year experience that you feel like had shaped you to become who you are.
Despite all those things, right, I'm glad that even that 13 years when I had mom, she was very clear about values and how we should behave and things like that, that even after because dad didn't have any money when I graduated high school, even though I had really good results. So I needed to start working immediately. we got no money, like to like, she's like, you want to go college? You want to, sorry, can't afford it, right? So I started working. In fact, I needed to like kind of help him a few years after graduation as well. So I started modeling. So I was 16 and a half, 17. I still graduated high school at 17. So by 17, I'm like a full-time model already because people in the industry know me. So I started modeling, earning my own money. And I mean, you know, modeling at that time could be a bit dodgy, right? You see dodgy people, there's lots of like, you know, smoking, drinking, drugs. But thankfully, I never touched any of those things. Was never drunk, not even one time. So I think like, I'm glad that I have very strong, I don't know, like just strong values that I know I don't want to get into trouble or anything, right? I just play the game. That's the modeling game. You need to, you know, just travel a lot, go for a lot of auditions after auditions. And I modeled for about 7 years. At 24, I decided that I don't want to be a model forever. Like, I don't want to be 30 years old and there's like some 18 years old doing the same. I mean, after 7 years, I've been on every runway, on magazine, on TV commercials, and like, what's next? So that's when I decided just to quit, like cold turkey, and ran away. Because I know I can't quit in KL, right? Because it's comfortable. Like you just hang around at home, they'll be like, hey, you know, there's a job, do you want to do it? Blah, 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 right? So and I can't just go and get a normal job. Like people know you, right? So I decided to just quit, and I went to Australia to study and kind of like restarted, like with nobody knowing me, again self-funding myself, and with not a lot of friends, and started from there. So I started, you know, studying in Australia, getting a job, eventually getting my PR, worked in event management, F&B, and then my boyfriend, now husband, moved from there to Singapore and decided to, okay, I'll go to Singapore for a bit. We don't know how long it's going to take. Then, yeah, started my career in Singapore, and then started my own business.
Wow, that's a lot to take in. So at 16, you become full-time and work and support
Also working
yourself.
at 16,
And
yeah.
then at 24, you decided to go back to school.
Yep.
Why?
I can see the future in front of me, right? I could continue to be a model because I have a lot of model friends who model well into their 30s and eventually have lesser and lesser jobs. Or they marry well and open a boutique, and that's not what I wanted to do.
But why did you choose education?
I didn't know what else to do, to be honest. Like, I could go and get a job, but what can I do? Right? I know how to pose. I know how to change into clothes really quickly. I know how to do makeup. But then, I don't know, I just knew that I wanted to do something totally different. So I just, okay, like, you know.
What is the most important thing you have learned in school?
I think for me, school was just the experience, more like that mindset, you know, who you hang out with. And what's the most important thing I learned in school? I don't know.
Okay, well, maybe ask it this way. So you have 3 children.
Yeah.
And what do you hope that they could learn from school?
For my 3 children, what I hope they would learn in school is, to me, is very much the social part of it, right? Like learning how to work with others.
Yeah.
Because when you come to society, you need to work with others. And they're currently in an IB program where they are mostly given a topic and then I'm going to do their own research either with the teammates and then present it and argue about it. That helps them with critical thinking, which I like. And but every time they are grouped, they don't get to pick their own group. So sometimes my kid would come back and say, oh, you know, there's this one person who's really contributing, and then the other 2 is like, you know, I hate working with them because they blah, blah, blah. But I like that for them, right? You're not going to be able to choose your teammate when you go into the workplace. There will be some people that you just can't work together with, but you find a way, right? You find maybe that person. Try to find what's good in other people and try to match them. And I guess like that also teach them leadership in a way. So I think like a lot of it in school is how to work with others, how to lead others, and like the actual subject matter. Those things you can learn from anywhere really these days.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think with the whole AI thing, those subject knowledge actually are not so relevant.
Correct.
I find that sometimes like parents and children focus so much on getting good grades, they forget why they needed to get good grades, which is because maybe one day they want to become successful in the futures. I value education, but at the same time, I don't think it's like, I think the core of education is important. I think the skills of learning how to learn is important.
Yep.
But knowing, okay, some histories are important.
But then again, right, like the actual detail, you can Google or just ask ChatGPT. You don't need to plug it, because back in our days, you need to like go to a library to find that. So it's important if you're able to memorize things well. But this day and age, you don't need to memorize anything. It's just fingertips. So what you're teaching them is really good, because you're teaching them how to learn. Right? And the fact that like how you can learn or how to find out about something is a skill that they would still need when they're adults. My students inside Mboss Academy, they need to learn how to learn when they find themselves, oh my God, I don't know about funnels. Oh my God, I don't know how to do Facebook ads. A lot of them is just like, it's too hard. I'm not going to do about it, blah, 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 right? But if you know how to learn and you have that love for learning and discovering, that's something that you can take for the rest of your life.
Actually, one of our secrets.
Okay, I want to hear it.
The reason why our students do so well is because we also train them on mindset. So as you say, the mom would just be like, oh, I don't know, I don't know how to find this. So we teach them the mindset, because we realize that when you have a good mindset, everything will just flow. So instead of thinking, I don't know this, I don't know how to work on that, we teach them to think, oh, that is so interesting. If I want to achieve this outcome, I need to find out how to get there. And this is the way I need to learn. So we teach them how to research, how to think, and we teach them a very resilient mindset. Because you mentioned earlier, right? Like the whole failing thing, you make a lot of mistakes on the way. With current education, one of the main problems is that people become very scared of making mistakes.
Yeah.
And they become very scared of saying no. If people keep saying yes to you, it means that you're not trying. You're not pushing boundary. Like all Nobel Prize winner did something that the whole world think that they can't do. If you want to be exceptional, if you want to be successful, you need to take no as a process. You need to understand that it's just your pathway to success. And how to see it differently. So I think it would also really help see your mom's group. Maybe we could do a mindset program, because a lot of our children went from really shy, not being able to speak up in class, to becoming class leaders, becoming the presidents of the.
Okay, I want to sign my kid up for you.
It is because those are the core things that I feel like is important.
Yes, definitely. Once they go out into the workplace, you need to be a good communicator, right? You need to be able to speak up and speak your mind as well.
If there are only 3 skills that you think would help someone if someone have those 3 skills, that they will become very successful as an adult in whatever they do, what do you think those 3 skills would be?
Self-awareness, number 1. And then critical thinking skills. And the last one would be resilience. Everything else, or you say digital marketing skills or whatever, that kind of skills, everything else you can learn. But it starts with, you need to start with yourself, knowing yourself, be self-aware, and then determine whether you need to be thinking critically, especially with fake news and all this, wrong information floating online, or friends, who should I think, listen to or follow, right? That's another thing. And then again, not giving up.
We teach them resilience and critical thinking strongly. I never thought of the self-awareness thing. I find that very interesting.
Well, I guess you need to be self-aware, right? If not, then you think you're all that, but you're really not. Well, which can be a positive sometime. But yeah, I guess being self-aware is important. What is your strength and what is your weaknesses? Do you even want to work on your weaknesses? 'Cause sometimes it doesn't matter. Yeah. I'm not great in something and I'm absolutely okay with that.
I completely agree with you. And I think in some way, every weakness is a strength. So for example, actually, because I was interviewer for our medical school at Imperial College London. So I also coach students how to interview. And one of the questions medical school love to ask is, tell me your weakness. So like...
Then you just basically just spin your weakness into a positive, right? That's the standard answer.
That's the standard answer. But actually from that experience, it actually helped me to learn and realize that your weakness is actually your strength. So I'll give you an example. I'm really bad at planning. Okay? So then I end up finding people that could help me to plan. And now because I have that automated channel, I believe that my efficiency is much higher than anyone else.
Yep.
But however, if I was a very organized person to start with, I might not have seeked out all these things that could help me. And I could never reach above like where...
That's self-awareness again, right? Come back to, and I'm willing to go and look for people. You're good at looking for help.
And I think because of that, like sometimes like parents would have this idea of themselves or their kids that, oh, I'm a lazy person, or I'm not good at this, I'm not good at that. Actually, I tell them everything can be a strength. So for example, if they're lazy, that's great.
Yeah.
You know, cars are invented
I'm
because
lazy.
people are lazy to work.
I'm lazy. That's why I need automation to do the work for me. That's why I hire people to do stuff for me.
And our life is so good now because someone was lazy before you. If everyone was so hardworking and loved like cleaning their floor, washing their clothes, there'll be no washing machine, no Hoover.
That's true.
Can you imagine how scary that would be? So laziness is a great thing because lazy people actually are lazy in actions, but they are more likely to think about how to be lazy. So they're actually good.
How to get away with doing little.
Yes. So actually every weakness is a strength. Like I believe there are no bad students, only bad teachers who can take out the extra.
I need that mindset too. Every time I see my kids just laying around, I'm like, it's triggering, you know.
Yeah, actually,
Like,
you need to get comfortable with yourself. At the end of the day, like, okay, think of students, right? Do you want to be a student who needs to study 5 hours a day to get A? Or do you want to be the student who can study 1 hour a day and get an A? So if you're the student who can study 1 hour and get an A, why are you beating yourself up for lying around?
That's true.
You should celebrate, you know. I only work 3 hours, but I achieve more than what people do in 30 hours.
Yeah.
You know, if you go on to a training course, right? So our program is only 10 weeks, but a lot of people, and our student average in performance is 5 grades. Some parents are like, it's only 10 weeks, like, is it worth the money? And is it like would it work? And I'm like, that is where skills come in. You could sign your kids up for 3-4 years of tuitions and they would never, but some of them never actually improve 5 grades.
Yep.
Would you want to pay more for that, sacrificing your time, money, and sending them there?
Yeah.
Or would you rather someone who could teach what people take 10 years to learn in 10 weeks? I think that's where expertise and skills come in. So next time you chill on a sofa, feel like, oh, Michelle, well done.
But I am pretty proud of my kids though. Yeah, they like again, I don't force them to study or, you know, they certainly don't go to tuition or whatever. And it surprises me that the teacher was telling me that my grade 2 kid, already they jumped one grade when they moved from Singapore to Malaysia, the international school. They already, all of them jumped 1 grade. And that my 7-year-old was reading at a grade 5 level.
Wow.
And I didn't teach him anything. I said, how do you know that word? How do you know how to spell it? Roblox.
Actually, I think studying, getting kids to love studying is actually a myth. I think every kid loves studying. What parents and school need to do is to stopping them from loving studying.
I'm loving learning. I think like because he loves Roblox, so he needs to find out how to, you know, level up. That's his way of learning.
Everyone loves learning.
Yeah.
I think it's a myth that people think they don't love learning. It's actually that you put it into a system that makes you hate learning. If, you know, they teach gaming in school, it becomes a subject, trust me, so many people will come up and be like,
I mean, like my 7-year-old, he's building his own obby in Roblox.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay. I mean, like, again, not as long as, for me, like my clear boundary that I was talking about before is that you come home, you wash your own lunchbox, you shower, you do a bit of Kumon. We still send them for Kumon, by the way. And then once you've done all of that, you can do whatever you want.
Now that you mentioned your kids, I have a question for you. what is the most important lesson you have learned from your kid?
I think just forgive quickly. You know how sometimes, I think that's really sweet. And sometimes I get so angry, or they fight and they get so angry, right? And then I'm still like sitting from their fighting with each other. I turn around and then they're friends again. Like, why do we hold on to those grudges sometimes? I find like, kids just be themselves, right? They fight. And again, I find that it's a skill. Whenever they fight, I'm like, it's a blessing. Just imagine if they're an only child, they never learn how to fight, right? So now the fact that they're fighting, they're like, talking to each other, talking back, and I'm like, oh, that's a good skill. Go on, right? And then they'll come to mommy, I'm like, I can't do this for you. Sort it out by yourself, right? And then, they're friends again. So I guess forgive quickly and just, I think that's what I learned from them.
Oh, that's such a beautiful answer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's a really beautiful answer.
Yeah, that's a good question because I never thought of that.
Is Mother's Day coming up soon?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What do you think is the most important thing you have learned from your mother?
Ooh, from my mom. I think she told me that as a woman, we need to be financially independent. Because,
My mom also taught me.
yeah, I think in that era, especially her being a full-time mom, I'm happy to share this as well. And she was not in a great place in her marriage. It wasn't a great marriage, but she could not leave because motherhood is all she knew, right? And perhaps I knew that she had goals. She had goals to eventually do something of her own, but we were still young. So she kept telling herself that, maybe a few years after you guys are a bit older and independent, I'll go do this, right? But life's too short. She never had a chance to do that. So I guess that's what I learned from her. She was always telling us that you need to be financially independent, no matter who you marry, how rich she is or whatever, right? And also from her death, I learned that if you want to do something, just do it. Life's too short. Yeah. Have no regrets. Just live your life every day. Whatever you want to do, just do it.
I mean, I can't imagine how hard it is that to grow up, to lose your mom so early.
It was tough.
And I could see why you want to be a mom. Actually, why do you want to be a mom? Because you said you have sisters.
Yeah, I don't know. I think since young, I guess I've always had this thought that, I learned something. Every time I learn something as a young kid, I'm like, I'm going to pass it on to my child. I don't know where that came from. I learned something cool. I'm like, I want to teach that to my kid since I was a kid. I don't know.
I was like that too.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. So it's not irrational of me. It's like, I discovered something. I gotta need to pass this on somehow.
This is interesting because of those thoughts. That actually pushed me away from wanting kids. Because every time I do something, I'll be like, the kids would not be proud if they know that the mom do that. So I'm like, having a kid is like so much responsibility. But actually, I find it a very good way to learn. Because every time I learn something, I'll be like, wow, that would be so cool. Like my kids love me telling them that, so I want to learn. And every time I learn something in my head, I'll be like, if I have a kid, this is how I would teach them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And later on, I find out this is something called the Feynman techniques. It's actually a really good study techniques.
Yep.
By teaching, you learn the best.
Yes, exactly.
So actually, do you mind me asking you a bit more about the Mboss Academy?
Yes, of course.
How big is your community? Because it's something so meaningful.
All right. How big? Well, not very big. To date, we have about 500 to 600 students who have been through the programs. You've got more. You've got 12,000, right? Well, anyway, we're not comparing. Yeah, we have. Yeah, we have about 500-600 moms who've been through the program. And the active community, remember we have the momentum community for a lot of them who have been through the program, who still wants to stay connected, and they still get twice monthly group coaching with me. So in that community, we have about 150 people. And we're doing our very first Mboss market in 3 months' time. So I want to bring, we'd love to have you.
Can we have a student booth?
Yeah, if you want to. Yeah, exactly. So What I'm trying to do is just really bring them together in person and also get them exposed to branding and hire and inviting like maybe some of the KOLs to get to know their brand better, because most of these moms, their business are online, right? I teach them to be online because that gives us that freedom to be at home, right? But then again, sometimes we need to be offline to present ourselves, to tell people more. A lot of the products you need to kind of touch and feel about it. So I'm very excited with that coming up.
That's so fun.
Yeah,
I love what you're doing.
Yeah. So we got the dates down, we got the location down. Jillian's gonna be there. So yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Actually, speaking of which, I have a gift for you.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Like sit up. We're all done with the indigo. I just want to give you a gift first. So we have roughly 5,362 hours worth of presents.
Wow! What?
So
I get interview and I get presents. What?
Yes, we did get
best Mother's Day ever.
We do give all our guests.
Oh,
presents.
wow!
Interview. So first of all, this is a voucher.
Oh,
for
wow.
Our 10-week Student Success Foundation course.
Thank you.
It's worth $5,200 because our students on average improve 5 grades
What? Okay.
during that 10 weeks. And we have a guarantee that student will work with students until they improve at least 1 grade.
Wow.
And
thank you.
Honestly, all our students improve. The average is 5 because some of them has really rich top grades.
All right. Thank you so much.
And not only that, students report that they are much happier, much more confident, much better relationship with their family and friends, and also 50% reduce in screen time.
Wow. Okay.
We teach them how to learn, and they also become moms. Actually, love this program because they don't have to sit down and study with the kids anymore.
So
They learn to learn in the
okay, so this is something for the kids to log on and watch themselves? Or?
Yes, it's actually an online course component. There's group coaching and there's one-to-one coaching.
Okay.
And we
Awesome.
got this item from Embrace. Actually, I'm wearing a top from Embrace.
Oh.
They are amazing. It's a
Looks very
maternity
comfortable.
wear brand. It is really comfortable.
Can I open it?
Yes. It's a few more
Ooh.
personal maternity items. This is the nursing tank.
Oh, wow. Is it? How?
Yes.
Oh, you just pull it down. Okay. Right.
As you can see, the material is super
It is.
And it also
You'll
looks
see me
good.
wearing this. Yes.
That's why I haven't stopped wearing this now.
Yeah.
And this one
You look really good in
is-
it.
Oh, thank you. This one is from Dots and Dribble. It's actually
Right.
found it from one of your students.
Yes, Jillian.
So
Oh, let's open it.
It's batik wear. So batik is a traditional Indonesian technique.
Mm-hmm.
She founded it because she wants to help her kids to be connected with their culture, which is a Malaysian and Indonesian traditional culture.
Oh, how pretty. Like, this is the prettiest batik ever. I love this. I can see Will wearing this, definitely. Woohoo! Yay!
And we have
Nice.
a few questions from our audience.
Oh, okay.
Michelle, you're quite active on social media.
Okay.
What's your take on children using social media?
I think if they enjoy it, go for it. Yeah, I mean, we don't know. Like, a lot of people are like, I think of course we need to monitor what they're posting, right? But I feel like you never know. They might find enjoyment in doing that. And I always tell them, hey, if you're gonna start, my kids have their own Instagram account, but obviously they have not heed my advice yet. So I was telling them that, hey, if you want to start a YouTube channel, you want to start anything, go for it, but be really clear about what you're posting. Right? And also, who is the target audience? What value are you giving them? Right? It's not just post for post's sake. You need to know, like, are we doing entertainment here? You know, it could be just be funny and be, you know, and entertain people. That's fine too. Or you could be teaching people something, or at least give some sort of value, not just create content for content's sake. Wow. So that's what I told them, and I think it's absolutely okay.
Do you limit what they see on social media or the time they spend on their phone?
Yeah, definitely. Like again, they need to do the offline work first, right? They need to finish their. Already they're spending what, they're already spending 8 hours in school, and then sometimes they have ECA, and then they have homework, and then they have time with us, dinner, no screen time when we're together eating mealtime, no screen time, and then so usually they only have 1 to 2 hours in the evening. And if they want that for screen time, yeah, go for it.
You know what, I actually think that's a very good way of pushing your kids away from social media and stuff. Reason being, when you get them to think so much about it, social media is no longer a relaxing thing to do. That's actually one of the things we try to make the go opposite for studying, to make it more relaxing. But because now they see social media, they must see it in a very different light. When they see other people posting, they would no longer think, oh, I want to post a photo like that. That looks cool. They would be like, oh, who's the audience they're hitting?
What's the value in that, right? Yeah.
So it's no longer a relaxing task. I actually think that's a very good strategy of turning kids away from social media and actually become much more aware. So when people reach out to them, they will be like, oh, what's their intention? And I think that way that could keep children safe as well.
Well, I've never thought of it that way. But I was just...
So a lot of things you've done subconsciously actually affect your children a lot. And I think those are all things that should actually be carefully thought about. But I mean, you're doing a great job.
Thank you. I mean, we're all learning as we go, right? I mean, as they grow, they change. Yeah. So we learn to be a different parent to them at different stage. Each child is different. So like my 2 girls are into social media. They like social media, but my son, not interested at all. So he likes his games.
Do you ever because you're quite an open person, you share a lot of things on social media. Do you ever get that, I don't know, sometimes one of the biggest challenge I have is actually sharing. So I like talking to people, I'm a very friendly person, but I am really scared of posting. And
why?
I guess I'm scared of the consequence. Maybe
what could be the consequence? People not liking it?
Actually, I don't mind people not liking it. I worry that I might upset people, or I worry that maybe they see a snap cuts of it and don't catch all the story. So for example, like just now.
So that they didn't get the context if they don't listen the entire story.
Because of my education, I feel very responsible for everything I speak, everything I say. So for example, just now, like you said, oh, you don't mind letting your kids going on social media. But without hearing the thing, they might not heard that, do you actually limit their screen time and stuff. I'm really scared of people taking things out of context and get the wrong advice.
Right. Okay.
I guess that actually stopped me from also impacting a lot of people.
Exactly. I mean, if people are going to take things out of context and not listening to the whole thing, and that's on them. Like I'm not responsible for that, right? So while people see me as like, oh, being open, you're sharing everything on social media, I actually don't. I feel like there's a lot of me that you're not seeing. You only get to see what I choose to show. Right? While it seems that I'm sharing a lot, there's still a lot of topics that I don't go into. Right? I never talk about like weight loss or anything slimming, because I don't believe in that, right? I never talk about marriage or my relationship with my husband, except for the once a year anniversary post. Right? I never discuss marriage. I never discuss him or his career. So that's off boundary. How my kids are doing in school, I don't really share about that. Right? You just see me having time going out with my kids, and so I think I do choose what I post. Yeah, and you absolutely get to choose like which part of yourself to share.
Yeah, I think I have this irrational belief that if I don't show everything, if I don't be truthful, if I don't open up everything, I'm not being 100% truthful. But I guess choosing to share part of me is still being
It's still truthful. That's still you, right? There's still parts of myself that I'm not acting this way. It's just that there are parts that you don't see. I just normally don't go there.
Actually, I recently listened to a podcast called The Diary of a CEO that I absolutely love.
Yep.
There was one sentence where the guest mentioned that back in the days, like when people go out and social, they know that they're putting on their social front.
Right.
But now people seem to lose that, and they feel like on social media they have to show everything about themselves. And he said this is actually the same for social media. You need to know that that's your social self. And when you go home, that could be your personal self. And that's come through in friendships and everything as well. I think that's
and it's not like you're being two-faced or two different personality, right? It's just different side of you.
Actually, I find that super valuable for anyone who is like on social media or use social media as part of their business.
Yep.
All right, let me find out what other questions we have, because we have a lot of questions from the audience. What is the most memorable experience you have had working with children?
That's a tough one. There's so many. Most memorable when they were born, I guess. Right? I mean, what can top that?
Well, for me, that's not very memorable.
Really?
Yeah. I was not ready to become a mother.
I mean, you had 9 months to get prepared. You're still not ready.
I'm still not ready. Yes, I was
Oh,
ready.
okay.
And I think it's okay.
That was most memorable to you. Like, it's hard to pick one, isn't it? Like, almost every day could be memorable. And I find that the boring daily times, and I find that kids are so entertaining. Right? They just do things and it's just like, it's so funny, things that they say or things that they do, like unexpected. And so I think like those, sometimes it's not like that one core memory. It's just in the everyday, you know, you wake them up today and then you kind of tickle them, or, you know, those little things adds up. Yeah.
Any funny story of your kids that you would like to share with us?
Funny story? Too many? Too many funny story, I guess. Yeah. Well, I guess, okay, I can tell you one. Will, again, right, he can read. Like, I'm sorry, but I don't really read to my children. Oh. Sometimes, occasionally, we'll do it. But he just learned how to read on his own. So one day, my husband was just browsing Netflix, right? Just browsing, like, see what show on there. And then there's this show that comes out. And we didn't know he was at the back and was just reading, like, the word. And he was like, too hot to handle? And like 4 years old, right? And we're like, oops. So he could just sound things out. Like, he may not know the meaning, but he could just like read things out on his own.
So I feel like you shouldn't apologize for not reading to your mom. It's actually really freeing to know that actually we don't have to read for our children to be a good reader.
I don't know, like, you know, people are saying, oh, you know, how you should start reading to them before the age was, so they learn X number of words by this age. And it was like,
actually,
I find it really boring. Every night it's the same story. I mean, I did. Like, and then like they just want the same story again, right? And again, and I find that it's not really helping them with sleep either. They don't fall asleep when I'm reading a story, right? Like, just good night, lights off, sleep.
I have that because I was not ready for the baby.
Right.
A lot of people were married at the time. We were not actually ready. But we have this philosophy that we'll only do things with our kids that we enjoy. And we try to take out the parts that, you know, we try to outsource the part that we don't enjoy so much as much as we can.
Yep.
Even though it costs more than like how much my income, I think it's worth it. You know, as long as the financial balance to make work. But because I don't ever want to have the, you know, I do find that with Asian parents, sometimes they give up so much. Then it gives pressure to the kid.
Yeah,
I have done so and so for you. I don't ever want to have that resentment towards my kids.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that you're not doing. Yeah, because otherwise, I feel like people are like, oh, I hate motherhood. Motherhood is hard. That's because they're being pushed to do things that they don't enjoy. So, yeah.
I hope that, you know, like this actually shows that you don't need to be
a certain way
to be a good mom.
Yeah.
I would like to think I'm a good mom. Like my kids, although she's only 8 months old, she's very confident. There's one period of time she didn't even cry once in 3 weeks because she's so like
happy.
Yeah, and
great.
She could poo on her own, pee on her own. She's very independent and confident.
That's great. That's great.
Anyway, thank you so much, Michelle.
No, I mean, I felt like we've been talking forever. And that's been, I mean, like, and time passes so quickly. So thank you so much for having me.